Modern web applications are typically divided into two parts. First, there's the front end, which is what people view and interact with in a browser. Secondly, you have the back end, which may consist of a number of different applications that run on a server to handle business logic and database storage and interaction. Front ends and back ends may also be split up into separate websites and applications, which are often referred to as microservices. Your back-end services of choice will likely come with a series of URLs, also referred to as endpoints, to allow you to perform particular operations from the front end, such as creating, reading, updating, or deleting data. These types of operations are also referred to by the CRUD acronym. Nordcraft provides everything you need to build a front-end application, and for full flexibility, you can connect any separate back-end service or external data source to power your websites using CRUD operations and more. And you do this via APIs in Nordcraft. Now, API stands for Application Programming Interface, which is a way to communicate between different software services. Different types of APIs are used in programming hardware and software, including operating system APIs, remote APIs, and web APIs. In Nordcraft, you'll most likely be working with web APIs, which allow you to send and receive instructions and data to and from web servers. Data can be transferred via APIs in a number of different formats, but the most common format you'll likely be working with on the web is JSON, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And it looks like this. There are two ways you can connect APIs to your Nordcraft project. The first way is to add a service if your backend service is supported. From the project sidebar, find the Services section and click the plus button. Here you can choose from a growing list of pre-configured backend services, including Supabase, Dato CMS, and Contentful. To connect an API via a service, you'll need an existing account with that service and the relevant information needed to connect that service, such as API keys and project URLs, which you'll be able to find in your account settings for the relevant backend service. Now, these bits of information are needed to make sure that Nordcraft can connect to your backend services to perform, for example, CRUD operations. Typically, API keys only allow read-only access to APIs and do not allow unintended modification of data, so they're safe to use in your front-end project. For any services that will be updating and deleting data or carrying out private operations, you'll most likely want to use a separate custom backend service for security. For more reading on this, you can go to docs.nordcraft.com/guides/security and make sure to consult the documentation on API keys from your backend service provider. Adding a service automatically retrieves available endpoints in your backend for things like CRUD operations, which makes adding subsequent API calls in your project quick and easy. There are two main types of APIs used on the web, REST and GraphQL, and you'll notice that some services offer both types of APIs. Let's go over a quick primer on these two types of APIs. REST stands for Representational State Transfer and represents a set of rules and guidelines for creating resource-based web services. RESTful APIs have a predefined set of operations available to a user, such as CRUD operations, and they're based on the concept of resources, such as products or users, and allow those resources to be read or modified. GraphQL, which stands for Graph Query Language, is a language used to communicate with backend systems, allowing you to fetch and manipulate your data in a similar way to REST APIs. GraphQL allows you to communicate with the database and request data in a specific way, by building a query to send to the web server to request a variety of different resources and data, rather than requesting information about a single type of resource directly via a REST API endpoint. Your backend service may provide both types of APIs, or just REST or GraphQL. If your backend API is not yet supported via a Nordcraft service, you can connect to any API manually. In the editor, find the Write Data panel, find the API section and click the plus button. Here you can paste in the URL of an API provided by your backend service, which you can find on the specific API documentation, and Nordcraft will automatically detect whether it's a REST or GraphQL API endpoint. You can now jump to the specific lesson that explains how to work with either a REST API or GraphQL API to fetch data from your backend service.